I was born in Monroe, Michigan.
Okay.
March 20th, 1971.
And I was shocked at that too. I can't believe you're 40. I can't believe
Let me
it.
tell you something. I can't either, but I tell you what, I feel great. I can still bust out a 5-minute mile. You know what I mean? I still train how I did when I was 21. It's just insane.
Yeah. Well, I guess you take care of yourself, then, huh?
Yeah, I try.
Yeah. How old were you when you first went to a gym?
When I first, when I very first went to the boxing gym, I was 9 years old. I tried it. I hated it. Told my dad, no way I'm going to do this. So I just didn't do it. And then I came back when I was 14 years old and had my first amateur fight, and I just kind of fell in love with it.
Yeah. And tell me about your childhood. What kind of house did you come from, and tell me about your home life.
Well, I grew up, with two loving parents, but my mom and dad got divorced. Actually, when I was 14 is when they got divorced, but they had problems, years and years before that. And, they were split for a lot of years. And, it wasn't easy. You want to be in the home with both your parents. But, my mom and dad, one thing we had, we may have lacked in some areas, but one thing we had was love. I was loved by both my parents. So I can't, I can't say that I had a crazy childhood. I just, I would have preferred my parents stay together, but, life happens, and you just gotta, no pun intended, but roll with the punches.
Yeah, actually, I'm going through a problem with my wife and my kids now.
Yeah, it's tough, man. Yeah. Listen, it's not easy. Best thing to do is just try to take the high road, and be the big person. That's the hardest part.
Yeah, you're right. And, were you a good kid?
Well, I would say I was a fortunate kid. How about that? I ran around with a very bad crowd growing up. But how I got into boxing, how I started boxing was one day I came home from school. My dad was standing at the door just waiting on me. I was about 14 years old, and he said, "We need to talk." And he had this look on his face, and I respected my dad and feared him too. He was not a guy he played with. And so I sat down on the couch, and he said to me, "Every day when you come home from school, you're going to spend time with me. You do whatever you want. I don't care. We can go to the park, shoot hoops. We can go fish. We can go walk. I don't care what it is. But it's going to be with me." He said, "Because you're getting ready to head down that wrong path in life, Bronco, and I'm your dad, and I love you, and I'm going to step in, and I'm going to make a change." And I was like, But he was my dad, so I used to train amateur fighters at the time. I'd go down to the gym, watch them every day. So I started training, and boom, I fell in love with the sport, and that's really how I really got into it. And it really was a life-changing move, and it really wasn't because so much say boxing. It was just my dad stepping in and being a dad, and because every single guy except for one, there's me and one other guy, but every other guy that I ran around with, every one of them ended up in jail, prison, or dead.
Wow.
Except me and one other guy.
And so your kind of boxing saved you too, huh?
Yeah, it did. It did. My dad did, but through boxing, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And you had a brother, Matt, who was a boxer too.
Yes, yeah.
So how is he? He's younger than you, right?
Yes, he's younger than I am. Yep.
Okay. And
Matt is no longer boxing, but he's doing very well for himself. He opened up a wholesale store here in Monroe, and he's doing great, man. I'm so proud of that kid. He's doing fantastic.
That's good. Was it ever competition in the house growing up? Were you?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, he's my younger brother, but it's funny, as soon as my dad would leave, we would take the furniture and rearrange it, and I'd let him put the 8-ounce rails on, and I'd put the 16-ounce ringside on, and we would just go at it, We used to do that all the time. My dad caught us one day going in there boxing, man. He's come in the house going crazy. He was so mad. we used to put the furniture across the front of the door and everything. We would just go at it.
That's funny, man.
Yeah.
And you did have an amateur career, right? So
I'm sorry?
I didn't even know. I looked on BoxRec and it didn't say anything about an amateur career, and I never remember hearing anything. But you said you had an amateur career. How many fights you have as an amateur?
You know what? I had like 35 fights as an amateur. I think I was like 31-4. But just in those 35 fights, I'd won like the Toledo Golden Gloves. I think it was 4 times. I won the Michigan State Junior Olympics, the Detroit Diamond Gloves.
Oh, wow.
I fought I fought quality fights. I didn't have quantity, but I trained, even as an amateur, I trained more along the pro style.
That's actually really impressive. I don't know why BoxRec wouldn't have that. They act like you didn't have an amateur career at all.
Huh, I don't know.
You got to make sure you update that.
Yeah.
And who did you fight as an amateur? Anyone with a name that anyone would notice, recognize?
No, I can't think. There's really no names that went on to do anything spectacular.
Mm-hmm. And how did you end up meeting Jackie Callan? Were you already a pro?
No, me and Jackie had a mutual friend here in Monroe, a guy named Kelly Duffy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to the Nationals in Chicago in 1992, and Kelly was talking to Jackie. He says, "Man, I got this kid out of Monroe. I'd like you to, maybe take a chance in looking at him, signing him." Of course, that's when James Toney was in his heyday, was on top of the world.
Mm.
And so I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to meet Jackie." Well, anyways, I go in the Nationals in Chicago, and I think I lost on the third night or whatever. Got beat on decision. Felt I won. So did everybody else, but sometimes the amateur tournaments can be more political than professional fights.
Hmm.
But irregardless, it doesn't matter. But so I went up to meet Jackie, and she wasn't too maybe overly excited about signing me or any of that kind of stuff, because I didn't really have that big outstanding amateur background. But she said, "I'll take a look at you. I want you to come to the gym and spar one of my fighters." I said, "Okay, great." So me and my dad drive to Livonia, Michigan, go in the bottom of this old fire hall, and I see, as we're waiting outside, I see, man, James Toney, about 3 or 4 of his guys pull up, all Mercedes, vehicles getting out, and I'm like, "Man, Dad, that's the middleweight champ of the world right there, man. That's James Toney." I'm all excited, and we go down to the basement of the gym, and I'm getting my hands wrapped, and I'm shadow boxing, and I'm looking around. The only person I see is me, James Toney, all his crew, and his trainer, and Jackie, and myself. I'm thinking, wow, I wonder who he's boxing, right? So his trainer comes over, Bill Miller, who ended up being my trainer, but he says, "You about ready to box?" I said, "Well, who am I boxing?" "James Toney." I go, "What?" I told my dad, I said, "You know this guy?" I said, "You know this guy's going to kill me, right?" And my dad said, I said, "You seen him on TV, man. He's an animal, man. They got him messing around with nobody." I said, "So I'm just going to go out there and just try to bomb him, because I don't know what else I can do." So I went out there, and I was throwing the heaviest, the hardest shots I could throw. But I'm going to tell you what, he didn't take advantage of me. He didn't do me wrong, man. The guy just boxed me. Probably my nose a little bit, you know what I mean? Did what he's supposed to do as a champ. But right after the last round, bell rang, he walked over to Jackie and Bill Miller. He said, "Sign this kid. He's got more balls than anybody I've ever seen." I told my dad, I said, "You don't realize it wasn't balls. It was fear that would make me fight that way." I was scared to death. I thought, this guy's just going to murder me. But, I've seen him do all that stuff that he would do on TV all the time. And I'm thinking, man, James Toney, come on.
Scary, actually.
Yeah. But, I'm going to tell you something about that guy. That guy treated me like a brother.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, James Toney, I'm telling you, that guy treated me good. I could never say a bad word about James Toney. That guy treated me like family. And I'll tell you one story. We were going to California to a training camp. And, I was just a 4-round, 6-round fighter at the time. I wasn't doing anything else but boxing. So it's not like I had, a ton of money. And he gives me a list. I said, "Man, what's all this stuff? This is everything you're going to need for a training camp in California." I said, "Oh, champ, man." I said, "I can't go out and buy all that stuff. I have the money for all that. I'll get what I can get, but, he said, don't worry about it. Just get what you can get." I come in the gym the very next day, and the whole wall in front of the office was just filled with new shoes, boots, running shoes, gear, all kinds of stuff. He said, "There you go, man. I took care of you." I said, "Oh, champ, man, I appreciate it." He always looked out for me like that.
Yeah. I swear, he's one of my favorite fighters ever. Maybe my favorite in my lifetime.
Oh, I'm going to tell you what. James Toney, in his heyday, when you watch him on film, I'm telling you right now, that guy's an all-time great. Yeah. That guy can fight.
He's my favorite, I swear. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love James Toney.
And my next question was about James. I was going to say, what'd you learn from him? But I'll ask you about Bill Miller first. What'd you learn from Bill Miller?
Well, Bill Miller, the same kind of style that James Toney had early on in my career. If you watch a lot of my fights, I did a lot of them little shoulder rolls and that bucking, that bobbing and weaving right in front of the guy and making a miss and countering, right back. And that was, they just taught me, when I first met Bill Miller, and this isn't, Jackie had a bunch of different fighters at the same time that I signed with him. And she had all our pictures hanging on the wall. She said to Bill Miller, I want you to go out there and pick, who you want, who are you going to train, Bill? I want to put some guys under your wing. And he went out there and looked at everybody's picture and he said, I want this guy right here, me. He said, that guy's got heart. And he trains, and I want him. I can make him a champion. I thought, wow, man, this is crazy. And Bill Miller taught me a lot. Bill Miller was very old school. I'm an old school fighter. The difference between old school fighters and these like real showy type of fighters is the old school just do little subtle things that if you really don't know boxing, you don't see it. But if you know boxing, you pick up on things. You can see the little baits, little dips, and you might say, oh man, he's setting that guy up. And you know what he's setting him up for if you know the sport. But Bill Miller taught me a lot of just old school, he was hard. He was just a hard guy, man. We come to fight, we come to win, and he taught me a lot. I really had a good time under Bill Miller.
Is he still alive? I've never heard he passed.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Is he still training fighters, or?
No, he's been having, he's been battling on health problems.
Okay.
He's at home a lot.
Yeah. Do you still talk to him ever?
Yeah, not as much as I should, but yes, I do.
You still stay in touch with James?
I haven't talked to James in a while. We were talking for a little bit, and it's been a few months since I talked to him. But yeah, I still do talk to James, see what's going on with him.
And who were your favorite fighters that you would look up to? I know James must be one, but when you first started
growing up, boxing was huge in my house. So even though he was late in his career, Muhammad Ali was obviously one of my favorite fighters. Tommy the Hitman Hearns, loved that guy. I lived and died Tommy Hearns when he fought, man. When he won a fight, I was on top of the world. When he'd lose, I would cry. I'd be a kid crying, man. I hated him with Sugar Ray Leonard. He was another one of my favorite fighters. Mike Tyson in his heyday, man. There's a lot of guys, but I'm going to tell you what's really great is Sugar Ray Leonard, who was one of my all-time favorites. He was my manager for 1 year of boxing. Yeah, that was great. Had him in Monroe playing golf. Man, who would have thought that? Right? Thomas the Hitman Hearns, me and that guy are tight. We go out a lot, have dinner, we're good friends. This show coming up April 28th, Tommy's lending his we're doing it in association with Thomas the Hitman Hearns. So, think about it. All these guys that I grew up loving, Holyfield, all these guys, I got to meet all of them, hang out with them. It's just crazy, man. It's just, I can never get, over it. It's almost like surreal to me sometimes.
Yeah.
I get a thrill out of it. Can I tell you what was a real big thrill for me not too long ago?
Tell me.
At the Palace of Auburn Hills. They got Mickey Ward's up there, right? Got my girlfriend with me, her cousin, and her cousin's boyfriend. We're up there sitting down, watching the fights, hanging out with Jackie and Tommy Hearns, having a good time. Well, they start calling people up in the ring. Well, Mickey Ward grabbed the mic. He says, man, it's so great to be in, he said Detroit, but it's close enough. He said to be in Detroit, Michigan. He said to look in the audience and see great fighters like Thomas the Hitman Hearns and Bronco McKart. And when he said that, I just kind of like, on the ride home, I told my girlfriend, I said, that was the biggest thrill I said, to have Mickey Ward, who's just like the truest warrior in the game. Mentioned my name in the same breath as Tommy Hearns. I said, I'm getting better than that for me. That's awesome to me.
Yeah.
That made my night.
Yeah. Well, that would be something.
Yeah. I appreciate every good thing that happens to me in boxing.
Yeah. Oh man, you got some good stories.
Yeah. I've had some really neat things going on in my life.
Let's see. And who do you remember having your first pro fight, and who was it, and where was it, and what was the outcome? You remember everything about it?
Let me see. My first pro fight was a guy named, I believe it was Franklin Robinson, I believe his name was. Fought at the Palace of Auburn Hills. and I want to say I stopped him in 2 rounds. But to be honest with you, I believe that's what happened. But I remember this. This is what I remember most about it. When I was walking out of the locker room, and so many people from Monroe, Michigan showed up for my pro debut, that when I come walking down the tunnel and they roared like they did, it was like I went numb, and I hardly remembered anything after that. It was just unbelievable. It was like the goosebumps hit me so hard, like my whole body went numb.
I'll tell you, you're wrong about the opponent.
I am. Who was it?
It was Bruce Anderson.
Bruce Anderson. Did I fight a guy named Franklin Robinson?
You said Franklin Robinson.
Did I fight a guy named Franklin Robinson?
Yeah, that was your second fight.
Okay. See, I was numb. I was numb for the first one, man. Bruce Anderson. Okay. See, that first thing I was doing, I'm telling you, man, I was just numb. That is funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
All right, let's see. Then you had your first loss early in your career.
Clayton Williams.
Yeah, Clayton Williams. You got dropped even 2 times. What happened? Like I knew you as having a great chin. Like how does a guy like that drop you? And
well,
go ahead.
Here's a good story behind that too. We're in the gym. I'm training for this fight, and my dad says, "Bronco, you're making a move that's driving me crazy." He said, "You're squaring your feet up, and you're dropping your hand. You're going to get caught with a left hook and get dropped off that move. I'm telling you, if you don't watch it." He said, "Because you're off balance and your hand is down. Every time you go to throw a left hand, you're dropping your right hand." Okay. Sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Exactly the move that happened. Shot a left hand, right hand down, feet square, right hook, or left hook, boom, down I go.
Were you
exactly
hurt or were you just off balance?
It was more of a flash knockdown. From what I recall. But I remember he knocked me down twice in the 4th round. And the second time I was so mad, I banged my hand on the mat, and I got up and I just went to ripping into him this best I could for the last whatever it was, 30 seconds. I remember this specifically. I remember being in the locker room when I lost the decision. I'm laying my head on the table and I was crying. And I was like, oh God, I lost. This big hand hits me on the back. I look up, it's George Foreman.
Oh, wow.
He said, hey, let me tell you something. He said, I watched the fight out there. He said, and after you got knocked down, what you did when you got up, he said, that's what makes a fighter. He said, son, you'll be world champ someday. You keep that up. He said, trust me, I see something in you. I said, man, thank you, Mr. Foreman. Coming from you, that means the world to me. There you go. Yeah.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
Let's see, then let's go through your fights. Let's see. You fought Skipper Kelp at the Olympic Auditorium. How's that, like the West Coast Mecca? How's it feel to fight there? How's it feel to be in that crowd?
That was great. That was Oscar De La Hoya fought for his first world title on that card. He was the headline. That's when he fought for the WBO, first world title he won. James Toney defended his middleweight title on that card. And I was fighting Skipper Kelp, and everybody was expecting me to get dogged by that guy. They just thought he was just going to just eat me up. And I was just so motivated because his actual manager, the lady that he had, she came to the gym one day and was watching me train. I didn't know who she was. And I remember her saying, my man's going to walk to you like water. I said, who's your man? I was sparring. I said, who's your man? He's like Skipper Kelp. Next round I went out, boom! I knocked the guy out that I was sparring, and I stepped over him. I said, yo, your man, this is what he's got coming. Then I went crazy, and James Toney and the man, they just love that stuff when that kind of stuff would happen. And Eddie Mustafa Muhammad was Skipper Kelp's trainer, and him and James was betting money at breakfast at the table. James said, I got $2,000 right now. I'll lay it on the table. I'll bet you right now my man beat your man. They were going back and forth, and it was but I tell you what, my whole career, that was the one fight I was the most nervous about, with Skipper Kelp. I was in my room the day of the fight. I was dry, heaving, sick, man, because I remember watching him on TV when I was an amateur, man. Saigon Skipper Kelp, he was just killing people. And I was like, man, and then I'm in the gym one day, jumping rope, and Jackie offers one of her fighters a fight with Skipper Kelp. He said, I'm not fighting that guy. I'm jumping rope. I said, I'll fight him. He said, what? I said, I'll fight him. I said, there's nobody out there. I won't fight Jackie. Just make the fight. And so she made the fight, and boom, you know what happened there. So, yeah.
Yes, I do. Then you fought Aaron Davis at Foxwoods.
That was a war.
Did you feel ready for Aaron Davis?
Oh yeah. I felt ready. You know, you get that point, you feel ready for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But man, was that a war? That was one fight that was a war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that surprised me because I told my dad, my trainers, and all of them. I said, "Give me 6 rounds. I said, I'll break this guy down. I said, I'm gonna break him down." And 6 rounds, man. He got stronger from the 6th to the 12th, and that's when the fight really took off.
Yeah.
That was a good fight. He was a strong guy.
He's Superman.
Yeah, baby. That's when I took his name.
I was wondering that. It can be 2 Supermans.
Yeah. I didn't have it until then, but what's funny is at the weigh-ins, when they said, Bronco McKart and Aaron David to the scale, and I jumped up real quick just to try to get in his head. I said, "Well, the real Superman, please stand up." You know, just trying to, you know, he didn't like that, man. That guy he didn't like that. He didn't like that.
Hold on one sec, Marco. I just want to make sure my recorder's here and working. Hold on one sec. Alright, let's see. So what do you say? What do you say when you're saying real Superman, please stand up?
Oh, he didn't like that. He just, like, when we got to the scales, he got right in my face, and he was ready to fight then. He didn't say nothing, but he was ready to go right then. And you know what they tried to do? The night of the fight, me and my dad switched rooms. And my dad just had a feeling they were going to try to do crazy stuff. So we switched rooms. I went on a different floor. They went by all night, banging on his door and all kinds of crazy stuff, trying to thinking they were keeping me up, but it was my dad. Yeah.
You were a step
by,
ahead.
knock the door, run, and do crazy stuff, but I was sleeping a whole other place. They didn't know.
Wow. That's smooth.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you won your first title, the Michigan State welterweight. How'd that feel to hold your first belt, to have it?
That felt good because that guy, that Brian Blakely, that's who I beat.
Yep.
He beat me in the amateurs.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Then I got to fight him in the pros, and I was like, all right, payback. And but yeah, it felt good. You know, that first belt felt good. It's like your first kiss. You know what I mean? It was special. You know, it felt good.
Yeah. Did you look at the title like all night long?
Oh yeah. You know, but it was nothing like that WBO. You know, that was the one. When we get to that meant the world to me.
Mm-hmm. And then your next fight, you won the WBC International Light Middleweight. So you're getting closer. Now it's a WBC. How's that feel?
Did I win that against Elaine Bonamy? So I beat for that.
Let me see. I'll tell you in a sec. You won that again, Elaine Bonamy.
Yeah. Now that guy, man, that was a tough guy. Just flat out tough, raw tough. I hit him with everything I could hit a person with. My hands were black after the fight, all the way through. Oh, yeah? And they got stopped in 6 rounds. I hit him getting like 48 stitches and never hit the canvas once.
Wow.
That guy was crazy. Yeah, it was. I ended up getting like 4 or 5 stitches. He had 48. He was tough. Then I fought Ingles Pedrosia. I think after that, maybe knocked him out.
You did. You were on a tear.
I was, man. I was just mowing people down.
You really were.
I was, yeah. Then I ran into my nemesis. That's coming up here soon, right?
Yeah. I swear, that's one of my favorite trilogies ever, man. Really.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, man. I'm not one of those guys. I really felt my heart that first fight I beat him. There's no way I should have lost that first fight. But, you know, it is what it is. And I've got nothing but respect for Winky Wright. I like that guy. He's just the one guy that just, man, gave me fits, but he gives everybody fits.
Yeah, but every fight was close, though. I love those fights.
That first one, man, I was like, gosh dang, man. I know I'm not going to lie to you, Chris. I swear I woke up every day for 2 months saying to myself, when are they going to call me telling these jokes on?
When they what?
Yeah, when they going to bring my belt back, you know? Are you kidding me? Yeah. But it's life. Just roll with it.
Yeah. I was going to actually ask you before, Winky, I was going to ask you about Santos Cardona. What was Santos Cardona? I remember when he fought Pernell. I was actually thinking he was going to beat Pernell. Was he? You look bigger. That's the thing. When I saw him standing there, Pernell, he looked huge next to Pernell, but next to you.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you know, they kept saying on ESPN when I was fighting the fight, they kept saying, "Oh, he's circling the wrong way. He's circling the wrong way." Me, you know. But I was trying to time him off of a shot. I was trying to time his right hand and come over with my. I finally did. I finally did end up catching him with a shot. I was trying to get him for 6 rounds, but I knew I could move into his right hand because I could see it. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to, as a southpaw, obviously move into a guy's right hand, but I could see it. Some fighters show it, and I could see his. And I think I could step over and crack him with a shot. And I finally ended up doing it. That's what ended up, you know, turning it around.
And see, I remember that fight vividly, like in my head. And so I had to ask you about that. You know?
Yeah, that was. He was. He wasn't bad. He was actually a pretty strong guy too. He's deceptively strong. He don't look as strong as he really is. Yeah.
So were you and Winky respectful of each other after the first fight, or did it like kind of grow, like when you guys kept?
Oh yeah, we always had nothing. We always were very civil. You know what I mean? We always had nothing but respect and love for each other. It's just two guys in the same line of work. One just trying to get over on the other. He was never one of those guys you could really, get like a personal bad feeling about. He's just not that kind of guy.
Mm-hmm. And then you fought Glenn Brown after that first Winky fight.
Yeah, Glenn Brown. He was. That was good. That was good. I just outboxed him. I hurt my hand in like the second round of that fight, and I basically just beat him with my right hand. Just boxed him a lot. But I remember watching him fight growing up too, man. That was a tough guy too.
Yeah. Yep. Tough guy. Let's see. I lost my page here, man. I'm sorry about this.
No, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
Then, what the heck is the next Winky Wright fight? Okay, tell me about the second Winky Wright fight.
The second Winky Wright fight, Winky Wright just boxed really nice in that fight. He fought better in that fight than any of the fights that we had. Mm-hmm. That's the one fight that I knew when the final bell rang. I was like, they got beaten out of the decision. He just outboxed me. And he got me on that one. I didn't have nothing to say about that except that there's no excuse, nothing. I was ready, good shape, everything was fine, health was great. He just outboxed me. He fought a nice fight, that fight.
Yeah. Then the third time you fought him, what happened there?
Oh man, I have a picture in one of my scrapbooks of me hitting Winky Wright with an uppercut, and half of my glove is on the top of his belt line, and half of it is on his stomach. And that's one of the points that they took from me in that fight. And it's like, if you watch Winky for years. I mean, I know 2 of them shots were low. I can't deny that. But them other points that guy was taking from me, that guy didn't know what he was doing. Most good referees right away will say, hey, your trunks are high. This is a good shot. But that guy didn't do any of that. Winky's dang trunks were just about on the bottom of his dang chest line. I mean, they were up there. And he's got the long dang elbows. When he locks in, his elbows are touching the top of his trunk. Most guys aren't like that, but he is. But I don't know. I can't really. I don't agree. I agree with some of the low blows, but I ain't gonna agree with the way that the ref handled that.
Did you ever at any point get frustrated with the game and think about getting out of
fight?
Yeah, not during the fight, but maybe after.
In the game, just with the sport of boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Every fighter goes through that. You get to the point where you're like, man, I can't get the right fight, or I can't get a fight, or you work so hard to get to a certain level, and then something happens, and it's like it's hard to get back to that level sometimes, and yeah, it gets frustrating. You definitely got to keep a strong mind. You can't just be physical in this game. You got to be very mental, because it's not easy.
Yeah. Tell me about what your memories are of Verno Phillips.
Verno Phillips, man, that guy he was a pretty good fighter. I like Verno Phillips too, but when we I want to say it was the 4th round, I busted my right hand in the 4th round to the point where by the time the fight progressed to around the 7th, 8th round, when I was blocking his shots, it was making me sick to my stomach. I thought I was gonna throw up on national TV because it was hurting that bad. And after the fight was over with, we went to the hospital to get an X-ray. My hand was so big, doctor said I can't even X-ray it. It would look like the Nutty Professor, and my fingers were When I spread my fingers apart, they were touching. Think about that. That's how fat my hands were.
Wow.
And but you know, Verno came to me in the locker room after the fight, and he said, I gotta ask you a question. Just before I said, it ain't about my hand. I said, what? He said, you busted your hand, didn't you? I said, yeah. He said, yeah, because I think it was the 4th round. I don't remember specifically. I hit him with a right hook and kind of jaked him a little bit. He said, I thought, because everybody knows if you jake a guy, you're coming. And he said, you never followed up. You didn't start like trying to take advantage of me. And I thought, oh, his hand is hurt. You know, he said, I went right back to my corner and told him his hand's hurt or broke, one of the two. I said, yeah, you called that right. You know, because my dad in the 9th round said, Bron, man, let's just stop the fight. I said, nah, let me just go out on my feet, lose a decision. I said, it is what it is. What are you gonna do?
And then let's see, a couple fights later, you fought Travis Sims at the Garden. How's it feel to be walking out at the Garden, the Mecca?
That was cool. My kid sat with Mike Tyson for the fight.
Oh yeah.
That was. I told him someday. I said, right now you don't really realize, but now they're at the age they do. But then they did. And I said, you're sitting with Mike Tyson, man. I mean, he one of the greatest fighters of all time. And that guy was so good to my kids, and he was like, man, Brock, your kids were just going crazy for you, man. He said they were a joy to sit with. You know, he was just a good guy. But that was cool because in my career, think about it. To me personally, man, I'm from Monroe, Michigan. I'm just a little city. Matter of fact, I'm actually doing this interview sitting in a CVS parking lot because after we're done, I got to go in and buy some things. But I'm sitting in the CVS, right? I'm looking at a little restaurant, a little Kroger store across the street, a Wendy's. And I'm thinking, here I am just from Monroe, Michigan. I fought at Blue Horizon, one of the Mecca of the boxing. I fought at Caesar's Palace, Indian Grand, Madison Square Garden. I mean, all the Grand Olympic Auditorium, all these places, man, that are like deep Mecca of the boxing. Just a guy from Monroe, Michigan. I've been blessed, fortunate enough to make it to that level, man. To be world champion, to be in the same breath as some of these other awesome names, and to be at these places, man. It's a thrill. Everything's a thrill to me.
Yeah, and you were a credit to the sport, man. Made your mark.
Thank you.
Do you have to go, Bronco? Because I don't mind. We could continue.
No. I'm fine, man. I'm not doing anything. I'm just.
All right. Don't let me keep it. If you have to, we could always just finish up another time. Because you did have a long career anyway. I mean, it takes a while.
Yeah. Ain't no problem.
Then tell me about the fight with Travis Sims. What did you think?
I caught in the what round was it? I think in the second round or third round, I hit Travis Sims with a good right hook, and he buckled a little bit, and then he right after that round, he totally changed his game plan, just went to boxing and moving, and he boxed nice. And I'm not one of those guys. Every time a guy loses, you always hear, you know, I had this, I had that, you know, whatever. But there's a few fights where I fought that maybe I should have not fought, but you can't let the opportunities go. But when I fought him, I had what's called a slap tear, which is, I guess, very popular, a hockey injury. But I did it sparring. I was sparring Dorian Spivey down in Virginia Beach, because I was actually down there on vacation. But I was still getting ready for a fight before the Travis Sims fight. I fought, I think, some Johnson. I can't remember the guy's name. I think his name was Johnson, but
James Johnson.
James Johnson, yeah. And it's funny I can remember all that. But I fought him, and then I was down there sparring Spivey, and I hit him with a body shot. Didn't hurt, didn't feel nothing, but I thought I heard something. The next morning I got up, and my muscle was black because it tore something, it bled. Then I fought Johnson, and I still had that injury, and I never allowed that injury to heal. Then I ended up fighting him. And when I hit him with that right hook, it hurt him. He buckled and wobbled a little bit, but then I couldn't really hardly throw it the right way after that. But I'm just not one of those guys who want to go back in the corner and sit down and say, I'm done. I can't do that.
Then you moved up to middleweight. I didn't like this fight. I didn't like your fight with Kelly Pavlik.
No, I didn't like that fight either. That actually is one fight that I should have took at that time, because you know, you ever see like let me see how I explain it. You ever see like those what's it called, like those dummies in science class with the meat on the ribs and the bones and all that kind of stuff? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Well, on my left side, under my top two ribs, the meat was actually tore off of that rib. going into that fight. I had a rib injury going into that fight. And my dad, and I didn't really know a whole lot about Kelly Pavlik at that point. You know, I watched a couple tapes of him, but I told my dad, I said, "Oh man, I can beat this kid at 75% hit, right?" I said, "I don't think much of him. I'm watching tapes. I mean, he's blitzing these guys, but I said, I said that guy can't miss. You can't miss him. I said, you can't miss him with a shot, right? I said, let's just take the fight. I'll be fine. You know, I said, I'll be able to outbox him. But then what happened? We got to the weigh-in. I just didn't like the way he looked and acted. And I told my dad, I'm not gonna box this guy. I'm just gonna go out here and fight him. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try to bomb him. That's what I tried to do. And I was doing fine up until he caught me at whatever 4th, 5th round, whatever it was. He caught me with that body shot. It like sucked the life out of me. I was done. I was done. It was weird. Because everybody said, "Man, Bronco, you didn't look like you were in shape. Looked like you were winded." I was fine. Really, I never go and fight out of shape. Never. But when that guy hit me with that body shot, that was it. It was the weirdest feeling I ever had in a boxing ring. He hit me with that shot right on that rib, and it was like my body left me, but I was still standing there. I can't even explain it. But yeah, I didn't like that either. But it's just one of those fights where I thought, "Hey, I can beat this guy." Even, you know, that's when you get stupid, when you let your mind really outdo what you're supposed to do. That's the pride of a warrior sometimes, though.
That's true. I hated that fight, man.
Yeah, I hear you.
When your hero doesn't do it.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And then tell me about those fights with Enrique Ornelas. I don't know if you even want to bother getting into it. If you're impressed.
No, I ain't no problem there. No, first fight, you know, it was a good tight fight. I beat him. I wasn't even sure if they were going to give me the decision, being that everything was his card, his you know, De La Hoya, those people, you know, he was with all the people, but I ended up beating him. And then second fight, man, that guy was very fortunate to make it out of the first round. I had him. I don't know how he got up from this. I don't know if you ever seen it or not. If you got to watch the fight, but man, I cracked him with a shot, and he just crumbled straight down. Boom. I thought, guys just fall like that, they're not getting up, but he got up. Okay. Then he ended up, both of my eardrums got busted in that fight. Both of them got busted. And I just couldn't. I just went back. Because my corner said, "Hey, Bronco, you just keep doing what you're doing. We're going home early." And then all of a sudden, I just started laying on the ropes. And he just hit me, and I come back to the corner. I don't remember what round it was. 5th round, maybe 6th round. 4th, 5th, one of those rounds. But they said, my cornerman said, "What the hell are you doing? Why are you on the ropes?" I said, "To keep me up. My balance is so screwed up, I can't hardly stand up." They said, "What do you mean?" I said, I'm blowing air out of my ears. I said, the guy broke my ears. He hit me with 2 shots and broke my ear, both of them.
Wow.
So I really couldn't do. And I tried my hardest to get a third fight with him. I tried like crazy, and they would not do it.
I knew. You weren't.
Because when I after that first fight, I told him in the locker room for the second fight, I said, "I'm knocking him out tonight. I'll tell you right now, he makes a lot of mistakes. And I walked him into a left hand in the first round. And he did. He took it. He got up. I give him credit for that. He's a pretty nice guy, though. I actually ended up liking that guy.
Yeah.
They wouldn't give me that third fight. I begged for it, too. I tried like crazy.
Yeah. What's he doing now? Do you know? Is he even fighting anymore?
No, I don't really think I think he's fighting here and there. I think he might be fighting as high as light heavyweight.
Wow.
He's a pretty big guy.
Yeah. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
But I don't think he belongs at light heavyweight. You know?
No.
That's crazy.
No.
Let's see, then you fought Raul Marquez. He's kind of older. What do you think of him? Even though he's not at his best either.
No, I didn't. You know what? They ended up making that fight a draw. After first they said he won, then they ended up, one of the judges screwed up on the cards, made it a draw. Raul Marquez was okay, but I'll be honest with you. I thought I won that fight. To the point where, like, one of the rounds, I think it was the 8th round, when the bell rang, I just tapped him on his butt a couple times and kind of laughed, went back to the corner, because he was throwing a lot of wide shots. I was picking all that stuff off of my elbows, and I was doing what I wanted to do, because the winner of that fight was going to get a nice fight after. I told my dad, I said, I'm just doing what I want to do, and I don't want to get cut or banged up, so I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and keep out boxing. That's one fight I felt I won. Like I said, if I lose the fight on decision, I'll be the first one to say, I lost that. Like, Winky Wright, the second fight, I lost that. Bruno Phillips, I lost that. Those fights, heck yeah, there was nothing to say about that. But that fight with Raul Marquez, I didn't lose that fight. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. I didn't see that fight. Was that even televised? I don't.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was on Fox Sports. Yeah, it was on the Fox Sports.
No, I don't get.
Yeah, I just couldn't. I couldn't believe it. When they interviewed me, they said, "What do you think about the decision?" And best I remember, I said, "Well, I'll tell you what. I watch court TV a lot on TV at home, and I see where sometimes innocent people get sent to prison. I said, at least I get to go home tonight."
Yeah, I think that way too.
They made the wrong decision, but at least I'm going home.
Put things in perspective.
I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah. Hey. Then you fought Roman Karmazin. What did you think about Roman? Did he impress you at all?
No, not really.
No.
That was another one. Man, there's a guy, Steve Bash. You familiar with him?
I heard the name. I can't place the face.
Okay, he's the guy. I'll just give you the background and you can just sum it up from there. But he's the guy that got me that fight. He's from California. Calls me. I said, hey, I'd be interested in that fight. I'd love to fight Roman McKart. Blah, blah, blah. I said, well, but here's the thing. I said, I know they got a Russian promoter that's putting on the show and so on and so forth. Am I going to get a fair shake on it? He said, I'll make sure you're taken care of. I'm handling the American side of it. You're going to be all set. So I said, all right, great. So we go to the weigh-in, filling out our paperwork. It's like a whole bunch of Russians fighting on that card tonight. You got the Russian promoter. And I didn't really realize that California had that big of a Russian population either. So Steve Bash comes in as they're doing the paperwork. Roman Karmazin asks him a question in Russian, and Steve Bash answers back as clear to him as I'm talking to you, but in Russian. Right? I looked at my dad. I go, uh-oh. I said, uh-oh. I said, you know what's going on now, right? My dad was fit to be tied. So we get in the ring to fight that night. Karmazin's standing over the corner. On one leg, he's got something in Russian. The other leg, he's got Steve Bash Promotions. And got Steve Bash and the Russian promoter in his corner. So I was like, it doesn't matter what I do. But I can tell you this is the truth. After the fight, because them scorecards were like 118, 110, and whatever, ridiculous. But the California State Athletic Commission, I can't remember his name, little short Spanish guy, come to my locker room in front of me, my dad, my trainer, extended his hand and said, I want to personally apologize to you for what happened to you here tonight. That wasn't right. And the guy from the WBC came in there, said the same thing.
Wow.
So that you can chalk that up for what it's worth. But that was when that guy spoke to him in Russian. I said, oh, this is great. All these years, I've never had something like this happen. But he's kind of an awkward fighter. Anyway, he's just kind of awkward. That European style.
Now, who's training you now?
I work with a guy here in Monroe. His name is Keith Vining. And he actually was one of my amateur coaches during the end of my career. And he's, he fought out of Cronk Boxing Gym. He came up through with Manuel Stewart, and he worked with Tommy Hearns and all those guys. And he's got a real good. I like the way he trains. He's got a real good pro style. And he gets in my head really well too. And my dad too. My dad's been with me since my amateur days.
Yeah. Are your dad still with you too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And how's everything in your family? Everything's good?
Everything's well.
Didn't you have a daughter? How many kids you got, Frank?
I had 3.
Yeah. Is one kind of older? Did you have a daughter a long time ago? You did?
Yeah. My oldest daughter's 22.
Oh, wow. I remember when she was like a little girl.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Wow.
She's 22. My youngest daughter's 12, and my son is 14.
Wow. Well, so you're not married though, right?
No, not married, no. I'm dating a girl. Been dating her for about 10 months. She's going to school to be a psychiatrist.
Oh, great.
Oh, you got the perfect guy.
Yeah.
free test right here.
Well, I'm glad everything's good. Tell me just what's coming up for you. Are you promoting now?
Well, I'm fighting April 28th, and I'm doing like the behind the scenes promotion on this show too, because you can't do, sometimes you can't do both in certain states. But I'm fighting April 28th. I was promoting some MMA fights around here, but I lost interest in that. It's just not my.
I kind of. It's like too brutal for me. Like, or it's boring.
Yeah.
It's brutal or boring.
Yeah, it's just a different breed of people, you know. But and then actually in April, they're going to. This guy called me about a week ago, and I've been talking with him. They're doing a documentary made for TV about athletes, you know, in different sports. I mean, even just something as simple as just recreational softball. But guys who do it and have been doing it for years, and they got this 80-something-year-old guy who's running marathons, and they've got, you know, different things, and they're going to try to feature me in there through the boxing aspect of it, to be able to be at a high level for so many years, and you know, and at age 40, 41, and the guy's going to come down and film the 23rd and 24th of April, and then film the fight on the 28th. And what's really neat is Lou Ferrigno is also going to be in that documentary. And I have a picture of me and him when I was like 10 years old when I met him. And it's just kind of cool that all these years later that's going to kind of tie in and be in this documentary. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I do want to branch off in the promotional end. I have a guy that's called me about wanting to do a book, the book thing. But I'm funny about the book because a lot of the real exciting, maybe dirt, whatever you want to call it, I just can't put that out there. You know, I got to live here in this where I live, and I have to leave. You know, I can't give them, you know, my whole life story. I guess. You know, I don't know what to do about that. I'm not going to do it. I'll do some of it, but I can't do all of it.
Well, this has been a pleasure. Let you see the